To our meeting tonight and our reorganization for the Agoura Hills City Council for Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. Everybody's taken their seats. So welcome to the Agoura Hills City Council reorganization. Please silence all cell phones and other electronic devices. I'm going to check mine because it goes off. Remember, I think at your reorg it went off. Give me one quick second. Yeah, it was on. Okay. Back to the meeting. I'm now going to call this meeting of December 11th, 2024 to order. We start tonight, as we have been doing all year for the City Council, with our land acknowledgement. The City of Agoura Hills acknowledges that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Chumash Nation. Descendants of Chumash still remain, and we honor and pay our respects to their elders and various groups that make up the past, present, and emerging as they continue their stewardship of our lands and waters. We have a responsibility and commitment to elevate the stories, culture, and community of the original inhabitants of the city of Agoura Hills, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these ancestral lands. I will now defer to Mayor Pro Tem Penny Sylvester.
Here we go. Thank you. All right. It is my pleasure to introduce the President Ronald Reagan Detachment Number 597 of the Marine Corps League for the presentation of the colors and the Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to thank the Color Guard. And now it is my pleasure to call up Mr. Alan Salazar for the invocation. It's truly an honor for me to introduce Alan, a respected elder whose ancestors were members of the Chumash and Tataviam tribes, some of the oldest tribes in America, to provide tonight's invocation. An invocation, for those of you who don't know, is the act of invoking or calling upon a deity, a spirit, etc., for aid, protection, and inspiration, or the like. Mr. Salazar has provided these types of blessings at special events in Agoura Hills. It's a pleasure to have him at tonight's reorganization. Please welcome Elder Salazar.
Amanat Haku, Netawan Alan Salazar, Netawan Puchu Kiayak, Pasekva Nukasin, Shogayanga Tapu Nukasin. Hello, I'm Alan Salazar, fast runner. I will be accepting challenges to races, but only other 70-year-olds. Out in the parking lot, 50 meters. I'm going to smoke you guys, so I want to be fair. I was born in the village of Pasekfa, which is San Fernando, California, and my family traces back through San Fernando mission records to the village of Chigoyanga, which is a Tataviam village, and to the Chumash village of Tapu, which is Tapo Canyon and Simi Valley. I want to thank the City Council, the new mayor, for inviting me to do an opening blessing invocation. It means a lot to us to be acknowledged that we're still here and to come to our land and pay respect. I believe with all my heart that my tribal beliefs and tribal religion is one, simply put, of paying respect. And I will give you an example. I want to ask the Great Spirit, Mother Earth, the power of the four directions. I want to ask all of our ancestors to bless us tonight, to guide us, to have a good heart and a clean mind. We pray for all of our soldiers and warriors, to the gentleman that just did the flag carriers. We thank them for their service, and we pray that all of the soldiers come home to their families safely. I pray for all of our leaders, city, state, county, federal, all of our family leaders. We pray for them, that they guide us with a good heart. For those that are sick and that have gone on to the spirit world, we pray for them. And I always end my prayers with 4 phrases and an offering. So when I said respect, most of our ceremonies is about paying respect. Next week we will have the winter solstice, the most important ceremonial day for tribal people. Your tribal people, all of our tribal people. My English ancestors 3,000 years ago made offerings and thanked the sun for coming back and getting higher and higher in the sky. And I leave this offering of tobacco and sage and thank Mother Earth for everything that she gives us. Kisa Shwala, we will all love. Kisa Gantush, we will all believe. Ki Ushka'a, we will all be strong. Ki Antikish, Ki Antikish, Ki Antikish. We are all alive, we are all alive, we are all alive. Blessings, thank you so much for giving me this honor.
Thank you, Elder Salazar. It's always wonderful when you come and begin our meetings. We appreciate it. So now we're going to go on with the meeting, and I'm turning to our city clerk and for a roll call vote.
Good evening. Councilmember Anstead, Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
Here.
Councilmember Wolf.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester.
Here.
Mayor Buckley-Weber.
Here.
Mayor Buckley-Weber, you have a quorum with Councilmember Anstead absent.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on to the approval of the agenda. I need a motion and a let me start by saying we're going to change things up a bit tonight, and I'm looking for a request to move the public comment section to the end of the meeting. And so if somebody will make that motion, and second to approve the amended agenda, or the agenda as amended, please state your names.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester so moves.
Deborah Klein-Lopez, I'll second.
And I'll defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester.
Aye.
Mayor Buckley-Weber.
Aye.
Mayor Buckley-Weber, you have approval 4-0.
So it's my pleasure tonight to introduce the dignitaries that are here, and I have to tell you, I've worked closely with all of them, and they've done so much for the city of Agoura Hills and for all of us. So let me introduce them properly. And if I can ask you that you would hold your applause till the end, because I know, we've got a long meeting tonight, so thank you for that. Representing the U.S. Congress, we have District Representative Kate Vega on behalf of Congresswoman Julia Brownley. Hi, Kate. Representing the California State Assembly, Deputy District Director Nancy Frawley, on behalf of Assemblymember Jackie Irwin. I know I saw her, there she is. Representing the LA County Supervisor's Office, we have Senior Constituent Advocate Daniel Vicente on behalf of Supervisor Horvath. We have former City of Agoura Hills mayors and council members. We have Ed Corridori, Jack Koenig, Dan Cooperberg, Linda Northrup, and maybe Jeff Reinhardt walked in. I don't see him. Okay. Moving on, we have the Agoura Hills Planning Commissioners, Jessica Reinhardt, Morgan Roth, Britt Sharon, and Bruce Stein. We have, from Las Virgenes Unified School District, we have board members Angela Cutbill and Leslie Stein. From Las Virgenes Municipal Water District, we have directors Gary Burns, Andy Korodowski, Jay Lewitt, and Public Affairs and Communications Manager Mike McNutt. Are you here, Mike? Hi, Mike. I didn't see you. Okay. Lost Hills Sheriff Station. They're a little busy tonight, so they couldn't be here. Neither could anybody from Station 89. I'm sure you all understand why. Greater Conejo Valley Chamber of Commerce. We have President CEO Danielle Borgia. We also have Fran Pavley as a former mayor, but she's going to be introduced later. She's giving the oaths of office. And we also have from our Cultural Arts Council, we have Karen Kent. And I'm looking around to see if I see anybody else. And Deanna. Hi, Deanna. Great. Thank you all for being here. And so next, what we're going to do is I'm going to move on to the consent calendar. So I'm going to go back to my seat. So before we move on to the consent calendar, though, I'm going to defer to Councilmember Wolf for an announcement.
Thank you. So because I was on the Planning Commission when this item came forward, I did not vote on it on our council meeting, so I will be very shortly recusing myself from this item. So I will see you all very shortly.
Thank you, Councilmember. And now I'm going to tell you that this section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items on the consent calendar, and I'll now defer to the city clerk.
Thank you. We do not have any written comments nor speaker cards for this item.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the City Council on tonight's consent calendar? Seeing none, I'll now call for a motion and a second to adopt the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to adopt the consent calendar. Deborah Klein-Lopez.
And
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester seconds.
thank you. Madam Clerk, will you please take a roll call vote?
Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester.
Aye.
Mayor Buckley-Weber.
Aye.
Mayor Buckley-Weber, you have approval 3-0.
Thank you. Before moving on, I'm going to like to invite Councilmember Wolf to return to the meeting and take a seat at the council dais. Okay, now we have the certification of the election results on the consent calendar. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items on the consent calendar. I will now defer to the city clerk.
Thank you. We do not have any written correspondence or speaker cards.
Thank you very much. So now I will call for a motion and a second to adopt the consent calendar, which is the certification of the election results.
This is Councilmember Wolf, and I will make a motion to adopt the election results.
Thank you very much. Oh, we need a second.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester seconds.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you take, no, we don't need a roll call vote for that.
Yes.
We do, okay.
Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester.
Aye.
Mayor Buckley-Weber.
Aye.
Mayor Buckley-Weber, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you very much. You know, I've been looking through this little script here. That was the last time I'll be asking for a roll call vote. Okay, that's why I was flipping through. How many more do I have? Okay, now that we have adopted the certification of the election results, we'll move on to the City Council reorganization portion of the meeting. Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
Okay, can you hear me? All right. So this is a very quick but meaningful recognition of our outgoing mayor and council member, Elise Buckley-Weber, who has served on the city council for the past 13 years and the planning commission before that. I do want you all to know, many of you were there, that we held a very, very special event in honor of her retirement on November 13th, 2024, and she received recognition from all of our dignitaries from the various legislative offices and cities and districts in our region, including our city council and staff, who all expressed their gratitude for her many contributions and distinguished service to our community. So this is the emotional moment. For one last time, I would like to give a huge round of applause to our outgoing mayor and council member, Elise Buckley-Weber.
Thank you all so, thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. You guys are in great hands. With the new council, you're in great hands. So it's going to be wonderful. So thank you for that. Is that it? Okay.
Now it's time for her to step down.
I got to grab everything here. Goodbye.
Oh, you can't take that with you. I'm sorry. And now, at this time, it is with great pleasure that I invite our council member-elect, Kate Anderson, to join the City Council and take her seat at the dais.
Welcome, make sure this is on. Welcome, Kate. So, I now get the honor to introduce somebody who doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to anyways. Who I get to introduce tonight, if everyone turns around, you'll see her face. She's the first mayor of Agoura Hills. We all know her, Senator Fran Pavley, who I will be calling up in 1 second. Senator Fran Pavley served as the founding mayor of the city of Agoura Hills. She served in the state assembly and literally changed the world in the state senate with her landmark legislation. So to have her swearing, yeah, let's give it up for Fran Pavley. And most important of all, I was her intern. So I think that about 10 years ago. So Senator Pavley, will you please join us up to administer the oath of office? There you go.
Good evening, everyone. Pleasure for me to be here. How many of you were here 42 years ago for our first meeting? There's some hands up. Yes. Jack Koenig, I know. I see some names. Sharon Russell, yes. Several of you have been here. 42 years can go by very quickly, can it? This is amazing difference from that meeting. It was packed. We didn't have a city hall. We were at Agoura High School. If you want a huge crowd, try passing a building moratorium in your first meeting. Can you imagine the audience? So, so that's how we started out, and it was quite an interesting time. Just 3 little tidbits of what Agoura Hills look like. You'll enjoy it. Where Wood Ranch is today, what was that? Do you know what was where Wood Ranch is today? It was the embarrassment for our city. the Bear Cabaret, a woman's topless bar. Isn't that amazing? If you wanted to go to the market, there were no markets on Canaan Road. There was no shopping centers on Canaan Road. We were just talking, Sharon and I, Russell and I were just talking, you went to Westlake Village or you went to down at Valley Circle. Ringles came up and everything, so very, very few things there. And there were 30 billboards lining the way. We still have a few more to get down over time. Fascinating times. So 42 years ago, you start out at our first meeting, and current council, you could appreciate this. Our first meeting 42 years ago, we had an interim city manager. He had one staff member, and we hired our city law firm, Richard Watson and Gershon. That was it. That's how you started out. You didn't have a city hall, so where El Pollo Loco was, that's where we met the first couple of months. Then we ended up in a storefront between a liquor store and a dry cleaner over on Canwood Street. Look how far you've come. So thank you to all the different council members who have served. But let's go on to the main event and swear in the next two, if you would both come forward. Oops. Are they? Oh, this is another thing that's changed. I was 33 when I was elected, and now I wear glasses to administer the oath of office. It's the same oath of office, for those of you who don't know, that you would take if you were in the state legislature or if you were president of the United States. It's all one and the same, so it means a lot. So please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations.
So thank you, Senator Pavley, and you will be coming back up shortly.
Okay. This is the time for our newly elected council member remarks, and I'd like to introduce Kate Anderson. Just a brief summary, because I know everybody knows you, Kate, but Kate has been in Agoura Hills since 2015, and like so many of us, the reason she came here was for the schools, the small town feel, and the strong community. She was appointed to the Planning Commission in 2016, where she helped to shape the look and feel of development coming into our city, ensuring that we maintained our rural character and small town feel. I'm looking forward to working with you on the City Council.
Wow, this is so exciting. Fran, Senator Pavley, where are you? Where is Senator Powell? There she is. She's back in the back, which makes a whole lot of sense because you're still a big part of helping make the city run. Thank you for swearing us in. And Penny, thank you for the kind words. It was a joy to get to know you in this campaign, and I look forward to working with you. And Fran, it is so fitting to have you swear us in, and to administer this oath of office. None of us would be here in this city that we now know as Agoura Hills without you and the chutzpah that you demonstrated in those early days. You and your co-founders had a vision for this small town that cared about the environment, that ensured development would be in keeping with those values, and that created and knitted together such a strong community. Dozens of city council members, so many of them in this audience today, followed in your footsteps, nurturing that vision, building on it, and keeping Agoura Hills a place that we all want to call home. I want to single out one in particular, my friend and mentor. Oh, I don't mind. I don't think anybody does. My friend and mentor, Elise Buckley Weber. Elise, thank you for tapping me on the shoulder almost 10 years ago to serve on the Planning Commission, for the calls, the mentoring, the advice, the bird watching that we did. I am so grateful. And more important, thank you for what you did and will continue to do for Agoura Hills. I was here at that meeting where we celebrated you, and I had a little notebook. I took pages and pages and pages. I almost ran out of pages in taking notes for all of the amazing things that you did in Agoura Hills. And if I do nothing else on this city council, if I were to put it into a single sentence, it would be simply to build on the vision that Fran Pavley set, that ensuing city council members nurtured, and that Elise, you embodied. We have something really, really special in Agoura Hills, and I don't need to tell any of you, and it is not a given that this room would be so packed. That says so much about who we are as a community, and our neighbors believe that too. So I knocked on lots and lots and lots of doors, and my question to basically everybody, it was super easy. My question to everybody was, what do you like about Agoura Hills? What would you like to see changed? And I swear to you, 9 out of 10 residents kind of looked to the sky and like, I don't want anything changed. I love Agoura Hills. I wish everybody could live here. It's funny, actually. The one guy who said that, he really does. Like, I wish everybody could live here. He's like, well, hold on a second. Maybe not. But I wish everybody could live here. My favorite, this was the owners of Tifa. They had come from the valley. They said, Agoura Hills is a place you aspire to. It's an idea. They did have concerns, too. Public safety was brought up. Wildfires, not surprisingly, given what's happening right now, also brought up. They had ideas. I don't know if Uda is here. She was the first one to mention this to me. She wanted, she wanted, can we have more, like, intimate community events? So there is something we can build on. But for the most part, our neighbors want what we all want. And so these will be my overlapping priorities as a city council member. And it's not surprising that this will be like the 3rd time you've heard this tonight. Keep our small town feel, protect our open space and love of the natural environment, which includes that fabulous wildlife bridge, and continue to build on and strengthen this phenomenal community. I will always have an open door. I will always listen and be ready to change my mind. And what I love about the size of this small town is all of us elected officials are so incredibly accessible. You will find me at Trader Joe's 2 to 3 times a week. I kid you not. If it's a bad week, sometimes 3 to 4 times a week. You'll find me walking my dogs early in the morning around Forest Cove Park. I've already had neighbors start like, hey, hold on. And everybody is welcome to my cell phone. Before I close, a few thank yous. Nothing worth doing in this world is ever done alone, and this campaign was no exception. To my husband and campaign treasurer, Peter, to my daughters, Darby and Emmy. Darby's actually not watching this right now because at this moment, she's getting ready to stage manage her first show. But Darby, Emmy probably is watching because she's done with her finals. Our campaign manager, Morgan, our social media gurus, Britt and Jessica, and intern Ben. Is intern Ben still here? Yeah, intern Ben, this man's gonna lead the world someday. Intern Ben, who knocked on more doors than anybody else other than me. We would knock on doors together. And then at some point, I'm gonna tell this quick story. At some point, I had to get home. Emmy was home and she was leaving. And so I was like, Ben, I gotta go. And he's like, but we've only got 3 more houses. And I was like, Ben, I promised Emmy I would get home. He's like, can I do it on my own? And so he did, and he got a lawn sign. And from that point on, he was knocking on doors all on his own. To the kitchen cabinet and the many, many volunteers who came out and helped in 100 different ways, everything from blowing bubbles in the parade to knocking on doors to delivering lawn signs. To the then the kitchen cabinet. Last but not least, to the current and former elected officials and community leaders that supported us in 100 different ways, everything from lending their name. That was a big deal. I had somebody say to me tonight, she hadn't met me before she voted for us, for me. And what she said is, so many people were endorsing you. And I would not have gotten elected without that. So thank you to all of those who did. And to the answering the questions and the guidance throughout the campaign and the questions. I look forward, beginning tonight, to rolling up my sleeves and getting to work serving this community. Thank you.
Welcome. All right. This is the time for our newly elected council. Oh, no, I've done that. All right. At this time, I would like to call for nominations for mayor.
This is Councilmember Wolf, and I would like to nominate Penny Sylvester for mayor of the city of Agoura Hills.
And this is Deborah Klein-Lopez. I will second that nomination.
Are there any further nominations? Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Wolf and a second by Councilmember Klein-Lopez to nominate Penny Sylvester for mayor. I will now defer to the city clerk for the roll call.
Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf.
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sylvester, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you for the nomination. And now I would like to call for nominations for the Mayor Pro Tem. And actually, may I make the first nomination? I would like to nominate Councilmember Wolf.
And once again, I will second that nomination.
Any further nominations?
There might be one from the audience there.
All right. I will defer to the city clerk for a roll call.
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolf.
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester.
Aye.
Mayor
Congrats.
Sylvester, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
So this is so much fun for me. I get to introduce our new mayor, and I got to know our new mayor, Penny Sylvester, when I first was tapped on the shoulder and decided that I was going to run for office. And Penny had been appointed to the city council, and this was going to be her first election. And Penny, it has been an absolute joy to get to know you. I was talking to my husband about introducing you. I was like, well, what should I say about Penny? And without skipping a beat, he said, she is committed to Agoura Hills. And that could not be more true. She is as committed to Agoura Hills as any of our community leaders, as any of our elected officials, as anybody who has been on this diet. She got involved in Agoura Hills when she and Don first moved here in 1988, right? Do I have that right? 1998? 98. You know, it's funny, I wrote it, but my handwriting was not. So she first got involved in Agoura Hills when she and Don first moved here in 1998. She was president of the PFA, not for one school, not for two schools, but for all three schools that her kids went through. And that was just the beginning of her involvement here in Agoura Hills. She got involved in the schools, as Don very well knows, in 100 different ways. And she then, through that involvement, at some point, connected with Elise, was appointed to the Planning Commission and served on the Planning Commission until our beloved Linda Northrup needed to step down, I don't know if she is still here. Our beloved Linda Northrup needed to step down, and Penny raised her hand and said, yep, I want to further serve Agoura Hills. I can tell you there is nobody with more attention to detail, who prepares more for everything that she does in life. She is a natural leader, and she is also a lot of fun. She made this campaign a joy to do, and it was a joy to do with her. So Penny, I am so honored and delighted and excited to serve under you as our first, as mayor for then the upcoming year. There's something more I need. Oh, okay. Hey, Fran, I missed this part. Will you please come back up so that you can swear them in as mayor and mayor pro tem? Thank you, Kimberly.
Before I swear them in, I just wanted to add on and give a shout out to Elise Buckley Weber. One thing that wasn't mentioned tonight that I've really enjoyed about Elise is her dedication to the Santa Monica Mountains, not only in Agoura Hills, but around Agoura Hills. She was given special recognition at the Conservancy meeting on Monday night at King Gillette Ranch, about an hour and a half before the fire started. But it was well-deserved. She served 12 years there. Ed Corridori has also been on the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy Advisory Committee for quite a few years as an appointee by the State Senate. I serve on the Conservancy as on the board as appointed for the LA County Supervisors. So when Agoura Hills has 3 members on the Conservancy, we try not to brag at those meetings. But that says a lot because the values of our city don't stop at city boundary lines. They're broader than that. We get that, and we like working with others. So, Elise, thank you for 12 years of dedication to the greater. And I know the next 2 people I'm swearing in will also share that commitment. So would you please come forward, Penny Sylvester and Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Wolf. I've known Jeremy since he's... You'll recognize this oath of office. It's the same one. So please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and to the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations.
I'm just going to go up since Kate has already introduced me. So, now it's my turn. Before I start, I would just like to acknowledge my beautiful family that's sitting in the front row, my husband Don, my son Peter and his partners Kel and Ash, and my daughter Louise, or our daughter Louise, I should say. I want to say a big thank you to Elise for your many years of leadership,
You've done so much for our city, and we all appreciate you so much. I also want to thank you for your friendship and guidance over the years. I would like to thank the residents of Agoura Hills for your trust and confidence in electing me to the City Council. It was a great honor to be appointed to the City Council in 2022, but is an even greater privilege to be elected to this office. Before I continue, on behalf of everyone in Agoura Hills, I would like to send support to our neighbors in Malibu for their fight against the Franklin fire. This is a sharp reminder of the dangers we face in our own city. That is why it's so important we focus on our own fire preparedness. We must take steps to harden our homes, we must educate ourselves, and we must be prepared for a speedy evacuation when the call comes. Today it's Malibu, tomorrow it could be us. Wildfire safety will continue to be one of my top priorities. This evening I had the honor of being sworn in by Fran Pavley, Agoura's first mayor. Fran and our previous council members laid out a vision for our city. They had the foresight and courage to set the foundations to make sure Agoura Hills remains the unique haven for future generations to enjoy. We are fortunate that under the leadership of our city manager, Nate Hamburger, and the department heads and all our staff, that our city runs smoothly. As council members, our role is to oversee the city management and confirm fiscal responsibility. But we also need to offer leadership, create policies and programs to benefit our residents and protect the environmental biodiversity of our community. As your mayor, I pledge to listen to you, our residents, and to work for the sustained growth of our city. But I can't do that without your help. As we face the challenges of 2025, let's ensure we maintain the family community that brought us here. Just as parents engage in their children's schools to ensure that they are top quality, so must we engage in our city to ensure its success. Thank you to the amazing volunteers who support us each and every day. I see many of you in the crowd this evening. But I encourage everybody that lives in our city to become volunteers. Sign up for an event, a committee, join the Community Emergency Response Team, volunteer for Citizens on Patrol. We have a squad car waiting downstairs for somebody to drive. With so many different ways to get involved, you will make the difference. And please, sign up for our city emails and newsletters. Don't just rely on Nextdoor to find out what is happening in our community. My wish for the new year is that we work together to support this city, a city we are proud to call home. Thank you.
All right, are there any comments from City Council?
I have a few. I just want to welcome Kate Anderson, who, if some of you know this story, about a decade plus ago, I was working on the Las Virgenes Unified Measure E, parcel tax measure, and it was impossible to get people to come in and volunteer and phone bank and all of this kind of stuff. And this young mom comes in with twin girls. I'd never seen her before, and they sat down, and I thought, who is this person? I didn't ask her to come. She had just moved into town, and one of the first things she did was she got on the phone to work for the schools and to pass a parcel tax measure, which did pass with great success. And so I've known Kate for a long time now, and you know that first impression really told me everything I need to know. So I couldn't be more thrilled to have you on the dais with us. And Penny and Jeremy, to have you leading the helm for this next year is so wonderful. I met Penny again years ago I followed in her footsteps with the schools. I think you're seeing a theme here that our schools are very, very important to this community. But she was the Parent Faculty Club president at the same schools that my kids went to, and followed in those footsteps and watched the amazing work that she has done and continues to do. And I met Jeremy, I think you were in high school. He was this super teenager environmental champion even back then, and I thought, wow, who is this young man who's really going to change the world? And look at him now, he's our mayor pro tem. So you've got, between these two leaders here, you've got focus on education, on conservation, on public safety. Most importantly, they are so in touch with our residents. They have the pulse, they have their finger on the pulse of what the issues are. They are accessible to our residents, and that is just the most important thing I think an elected can do, is to really, speak on behalf of our residents. So I've known them for decades, I've trusted them for decades, but more importantly, they've been serving our community for decades. They've been in public service, and they have that heart of service. So I'm thrilled to welcome you for the next fun year ahead. So welcome.
I will try to follow that, but Pate, I called you Pate. Kate and Penny, congratulations. Yeah, I couldn't get it out quick enough. Congratulations on a fantastic campaign. Really proud of you guys. And Kate, you're going to bring so much enthusiasm to this council, and I know you're going to be able to hit the ground running with your extensive experience on the Planning Commission. And there's a long environmental shadow that's been cast over the city, and I know you're going to continue that legacy. So we're just so thrilled to have you here. And Mayor Sylvester, I think I'm the first one to say that officially. That's exciting. It's such an honor to serve with you. You are one of the most prepared council members, public servants I've ever come across, and you understand the issues so well, and you know what's important to the city of Agoura Hills. And I also really appreciate the relationships you've built with our neighbors through the COG, and how important that is for natural disasters and for getting projects done. So I'm really looking forward to a productive year with you at the helm, and I cannot wait to see all the amazing things we get done together. So congratulations.
Well, I have to apologize to our city clerk because I already skipped over an item. I should have opened it for public comments first. So this section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items not listed on the agenda that are under the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. If you have something to distribute to the City Council, please do not approach the dais. Hand your item to the City Clerk, and she will distribute it to us on your behalf. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. Persons addressing the City Council should not engage in disorderly conduct that disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. I will now defer to the City Clerk.
Thank you. We do not have any written correspondence or speaker cards.
All right, so we are going to adjourn the meeting so that everybody can leave, and then we're going to get on with our first, or stay, yes, please stay. But I know some of you would probably prefer to slip away. We're going to continue with the regular City Council meeting in about, 10 minutes, should we say? 15 minutes. Thank you so much. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Agoura Hills City Council meeting. Please silence all cell phones and other electronic devices. If you wish to speak or submit a written comment, please complete a comment card for each item and submit to the City Clerk prior to the public comment portion of the item. I will now call the meeting to order. I will defer to the City Clerk for the roll call.
Thank you. Good evening. Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolf.
Here.
Mayor Sylvester.
Here.
Mayor Sylvester, you have a quorum.
Thank you. I'm now going to defer to the City Attorney.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Direction was given to staff. No reportable action taken this evening. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now call for an approval of the agenda. Will the maker of the motion and second to approve the agenda state your names?
Councilmember Anderson moves to approve the agenda.
Councilmember Klein-Lopez, I'll second.
Thank you. I will defer to City Clerk for the roll call.
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolf.
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester.
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We have no presentations this evening, so we will move on to Intergovernmental Special Purpose Committee and departmental reports. Are there any reports from staff? No? Are there any reports from City Council? Actually, I have some reports. I attended the North County San Fernando Valley Sector Special Meeting of the LA County City Selection Committee in Santa Clarita. 9 of the 10 cities in our sector were in attendance, and we unanimously approved the nomination of incumbent Ara Najarian for a new 4-year term to the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, which will expire in January 2029. I would like to thank our staff for a very successful Holidays on the Hill. It was a lovely 2-day event, and I hope most of our residents had the chance to attend. And finally, Nate and I attended the opening of the Dual Immersion Academy preschool in Agoura Hills, which is in the town center on Agoura Road. In addition to their preschool program, they offer Mummy and Me classes and a Suzuki music program and art. And I would think that's something Councilmember Wolf might want to check out in a year or so. So those are my comments. All right, now we move on to public comments. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items not listed on the agenda that are under the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. If you have something to distribute to the City Council, please do not approach the dais. Hand your item to the City Clerk, and she will distribute to us on your behalf. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. Persons addressing the City Council shall not engage in disorderly conduct that disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. And before I defer to City Clerk, I would just like to let our residents know, if you're watching from home, that when we have speakers on items not listed on the agenda, the Council can only listen. We cannot comment at this time. So please don't think that we're ignoring our speakers. It's just the way that the Brown Act works. We cannot have discussions. So I will now defer to the City Clerk.
Thank you. Prior to 4 p.m. today, we did receive 2 written correspondence emails, one from George Coleman, one from Peter Feller. They have been transferred to your iPads for review. We do have speakers this evening. George Coleman is here, and we also have a distribution that went across the dais for you from George for tonight.
Thank you.
Kate's first inauguration to the City Council, because I'm tossing a big thing on your desk. I didn't copy Candace with this, even though she might be familiar with my past experiences with you guys, because I didn't want to run up a legal services bill without your authorization. So she didn't get a copy of anything, I don't think. Anyway, well, you got, did you? Yeah, but you didn't get the others. I sent more detailed email. In 2014 or 2015, we had some incidents in Old Agoura with sober living residences, and back then, there were maybe 4 or 5, I don't even remember, and Kathy and I got involved in the program. As a matter of fact, in 2019, we had a big meeting in our house. Elise was there, and Jeremy was there, and Henry Stern was there, and someone from Bloom's office, and someone from Ted Lieu's office, and about 30 residents, and someone from Jesse Gabriel's office as well. And the issue was, what are we going to do about this? Well, asking you guys to put guidelines in, similar to what Costa Mesa established before 2014, but they got sued for it, but the guidelines are now in effect. I spoke with Linda Northrup initially, one-on-one, and Linda and I were both concerned that this is an at-risk population, and if they're going to live here, we need to make it safe for them to live here under our guidelines. As a matter of fact, any place where they live in any city needs guidelines, because what's happened is when you have homes of 6 bedrooms or less, you can rent them out, the bedroom out, for whatever you do, and entrepreneurs have found it a great way to make money, particularly in Malibu. And they charge anywhere from $1,000 a bedroom to $2,000 to $10,000 to $5,000. That's it. There's no guidelines for these individuals who were in licensed facilities, but now they have to leave them because their treatment is finished and they need to assimilate back to society. So they move into these sober living residences. And for that reason, I put together the entire package for you guys, because I think we have to legitimize them for our city, because we have a lot of big homes in Old Agoura, and we have a lot of big homes throughout the city that could at least accommodate 6 bedrooms or less. They do not have to be licensed, nor are there any guidelines established for I'm cut off. Can I have 2 more seconds?
Yes, please.
Maybe 3.
Go ahead, George.
That's what we have to do. And I put an entire package together for you guys. Now, the last point I need to make to Candace is this. The U.S. Ninth Circuit Court sustained the regulations in Costa Mesa. It was appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court that denied certiorari. So as of today, every city in this country has the right, at least within the Ninth Circuit for sure, to establish guidelines for these sober living residences. I mean, Candace may research this and get back to me and tell them I'm wrong, but I'm taking a shot. And I think we have to do this, and I want to get it in the budget workshop for March. Maybe not accomplished next year, but maybe down the road.
Thank you.
It's necessary. Thank you.
We appreciate your comments.
Thank you, Mayor Sylvester. We do have additional speakers. Peter Feller, followed by, is it Tim Gaffney?
And I would just like, I never got the chance to read my little disclaimer. So welcome, Peter. You will have 3 minutes to speak, ending when the red light appears on the podium. Please adjust the microphone and begin your comments.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members and staff. To the new re-elected council members, congratulations. My name is Peter Feller and I am a 28-year resident of Agoura Hills and have been evacuated twice from my house due to wildfire. I'm president of the Agoura Hills Fire Safe Council, a non-profit organization dedicated to protecting life and property in Agoura Hills from wildfire. I'm here tonight as a concerned resident and as a frustrated partner of the city in wildfire mitigation. The current partnership between the city and Agoura Hills Fire Safe Council is not even running at 5% of its potential. I'm here to ask for your help to fix that. I'm not here to point fingers or to be adversarial. I'm here to work together to find solutions to what is the biggest public safety threat facing the residents of Agoura Hills. I'm here to get the council and staff, my partners in public safety, to elevate and prioritize wildfire mitigation. We've all witnessed the recent fires. It was very frustrating knowing that most of this devastation did not need to happen. It can be mitigated by home hardening and defensible space. I emailed our first-year accomplishments and a few specific pushbacks that we have received in trying to accomplish our goals. Hopefully you all have those on your iPads. But even with our wonderful accomplishments that we've had over the past year, wildfire remains by far the biggest threat to the residents and structures of Agoura Hills. Although the council has devoted some time and resources to responding to the threat of wildfires, not enough has been done in the area of prevention to address the threat. Residents' home insurance is being cancelled or increased as much as 6 times. Homes are falling out of escrow due to home hardening and insurance issues. Council members and staff, I know that in your hearts you agree and understand these threats and appreciate these threats and appreciate what we do. And we appreciate what we have received, but it's not enough. Wildfire mitigation must be prioritized by the council. When we approach the city, we hear about things that cannot be done instead of things that can be done. We need the council to prioritize public safety threats by instructing staff with urgency to elevate its efforts at every level to prioritize wildfire mitigation. The status quo itself is a threat to the residents of Agoura Hills. We have opportunity and even funding. You have resources available, use them. Create a subcommittee or infrastructure to leverage available resources. If you don't, we will lose them. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Tim Gaffney, followed by Brent Woodworth.
Hello. Thanks for having me speak here tonight. I've never done this before, so excuse me if I'm a little nervous. My name is Tim Gaffney. I've been a professional firefighter for almost 20 years. I work for a local fire agency. I can't name the one because I'm not representing them tonight. I've made this area, Agoura Hills, my home for the last 8 years. I love it here. Raised 3 beautiful kids here. We have great schools, great community, green open spaces, and great playgrounds for the kids to play. As a homeowner and a firefighter, I can tell you that there are ways we can make the entire community safer without changing the essential character of Agoura. Many of them are just adjustments to how we maintain our landscaping, adjustments to when and how we trim trees, and adjustments to where we plant plants in the springtime. Fire prevention is not about moonscaping or anything like that. It's about understanding the risks and responding. As a society, as a community, we can make these kind of adjustments before and despite, sorry, I'm getting off key. As a society, we can, and as a community, we've made adjustments before, despite the how's of some. We've learned how to use seatbelts in cars, and we've learned how to not smoke in public spaces. And my dad was a LA City fireman. His generation taught us how to put sprinklers in commercial buildings and now in residents' homes. So with all that, I think we can make some adjustments in how we do some landscaping for the brush areas. As a professional firefighter, I can tell you that resources exist to help, but the community needs to ask. There are grants from CAL FIRE. There are crews that can mitigate the brush in their areas, and there are experts who can speak and reduce help educate homeowners, landscapers, and architects and planners. These resources are there to help for the prevention and mitigation of for any potential catastrophic wildfire that we have. We just have to have people to ask. Sorry, this is a pre-written speech. I haven't memorized it yet. Basically, what it comes down to is there's ways to mitigate all the potential burst situations that we have out there. I live right across the freeway. I was here during the Wolseley fire, helped save 15 homes in our area, and I don't want to see a fire like that come through here again. As you can tell with the local Malibu fire, we were out there for a few days already. We'll be out there for the next week. We don't want that to happen again here. If there's anything I can do to help the city prevent this from ever happening again, I'd love to assist. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Brent Woodworth, followed by Ellen Ben-David.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Jeremy. City council members, all the new elected officials, congratulations. I think it's fantastic. My name is Brent Woodworth. I happen to be the chairman and CEO of the Los Angeles Emergency Preparedness Foundation. We are also a full partner with the LA County Fire Department and the County Board of Supervisors in the development of a landmark program called the Community Brigade Program, covering the County of Los Angeles, specifically currently in the pilot, the Santa Monica Mountain areas, around 7 different communities that are involved today. This particular program has been incredibly effective. It took us about 5 years to get it approved, working diligently with the firefighters' unions, with so many different government officials, and of course all the supervisors, until October last year when there was a unanimous vote by the supervisors and multiple documents signed with the county fire department to make us official. What you're seeing me wear today is the professional, the PPE, they call it, the protection equipment, because we are very active in responding in partnership with LA County Fire to the Franklin Fire, 4,000 plus acres, and a huge effort there that's going on that really demonstrates the tremendous benefit of engaging local community members, volunteers who work with our particular group, in both preparing homeowners and communities for disasters such as fire. I know you've done a number of different assessments of homes. We've actually been in Agoura for quite a while doing independent assessments of homes in some of your HOA areas. And then we also get involved when a fire actually does occur. We work, again, directly under the fire department, and under their control, they assign us to do things like help them put out spot fires, ember fires, evacuation issues with the sheriff's department, and starting tomorrow and beyond, will also help with some of the repopulation issues that are going on. The difference is trust. When you engage your local community members in this type of activity, working with the professionals of the government, you build a level of trust and collaboration that has never existed before. The results are homeowners decide that they will take action. They start to realize the level of risk that they have. They start to mitigate that, and we get change behavior. Change behavior has a benefit-cost ratio that averages around 60 to 1. It's one of the greatest investments you can possibly make. It's like wearing your seatbelt. In addition to that, because we're working hand in hand with the fire department and other government groups, everyone benefits from this. So I encourage you to consider it. Please talk with us more about the Community Brigade, and I'd love to see you do as many homes as you possibly can, and we'd be glad to help you with that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Ellen Ben-David, followed by Philip Fitzpatrick.
Hi, congratulations, and thank you for your time and all your effort. My name is Ellen Ben-David, and I am a local realtor. I live and work in Agoura, put 3 kids through the schools here, and Peter asked me to speak a little bit to how this issue with fire insurance is affecting the real estate market. We have 1 in 3 escrows, basically, that run into trouble, and often they are canceled or fall out of escrow due to difficulty getting fire insurance or cost of fire insurance. So I wanted to encourage as well. I did do on my own home fire hardening, and if the sellers, the homeowners maintain the fire hardening and defensible space, it will make it easier when they want to sell or their neighbors want to sell for the people coming in to get insurance and hopefully keep our home values up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Philip Fitzpatrick, followed by Doug Wilson.
Good evening. My name is Philip Fitzpatrick. I'm a 42-year resident of Morrison Ranch and Agoura Hills. I'm retired now, but for most of my career, I worked in the insurance industry in senior financial executive positions. I'm here tonight to tell you something that you probably already know, and that is that the California insurance market for property insurance is broken. Despite being by far the largest residential insurance market in the country, the state is being abandoned by insurance companies. I can assure you this would not be happening if insurers thought that they could make a fair profit by writing business in this state. But current conditions militate against this. Premiums are too high for consumers, but they're too low for the insurance companies. And the reason is what the perceived wildfire exposures. Large numbers of homeowners are finding themselves now with the FAIR Plan as being their only possibility for insurance. And I just learned today that the FAIR Plan is cutting back on coverage and increasing premiums for homeowners who do not demonstrate that they're meeting strict wildfire abatement standards. High premiums and a lack of availability of insurance also place great pressure on the mortgage market. Fewer people qualify for loans when insurance premiums are unaffordable, and default rates increase for those people who already have mortgages. The FAIR Plan was never intended to be a long-term or even a mid-term solution for insurance. It's expensive, it provides limited coverage, it has no financial backstop, no governmental financial backstop. And if you look at the fundamentals, the FAIR Plan would collapse if we were to have another fire the size of the Woolsey fire. If that happens, we have a huge financial catastrophe that would affect global insurance markets. The risk's too high, and the only sane solution is to change the underlying behavior of policyholders and communities, which will lead eventually to insurance companies taking a more favorable view of our risk profile. As another speaker had said earlier, I think, we've learned to modify our behavior to decrease risk. To wear seatbelts. We've learned not to smoke in public. Ideally, we've learned not to smoke at all. We can learn to decrease wildfire risk, but it has to be done on a community level. It can't be a network of one house here, another house there.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you to wrap up.
Okay. Can I just, okay, yeah. Right now there are, I think before the City Council, there is a wildfire risk assessment plan. It's funded by a CAL FIRE grant. And that probably will lead to a community wildfire protection plan. What I would encourage the city to do is to combine those two, the protection plan and the wildfire risk assessment, to try to get things done quickly so that we can attack this problem. Everybody's paying too much for insurance these days in this area, but if we attack it, we can turn it around with thought, planning, and persistence.
Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Doug Wilson, followed by Sheila Sherwin.
Can I speak yet? Okay. Good evening, City Council and Mayor. So my name is Doug Wilson. I'm with the Oak Park Fire Safe Council, and Peter from the Agoura Hills Fire Safe Council asked me to talk a little bit about how we secure our funding. Maybe sort of put a positive twist on some of the things that we're hearing a little bit today. So what we found is that funding for what we do, which is really primarily education, falls into three buckets. The first bucket revolves around our primary mission, and that's homeowner education. So we've secured over the past 2 years, which is how long we've been in existence, about 10 grants, roughly $125,000, $130,000. So these are smaller grants, but this is the mission, and this is the challenge for all of us with what we're dealing with, is getting to homeowners and educating them. The second bucket that we have is associated with fuel mitigation. So these are big projects associated with mitigating dead brush, non-indigenous species, things like that. At Agoura, in Oak Park, we just won a $625,000 grant that was part of a larger $3 million grant where we partnered with the Ventura County Wildfire Collaborative, which is there was a number of partners associated with it. And the whole idea there is to mitigate the riparian areas of Medea Creek and Lindero Creeks. The final method that we use to secure money is through donations. Peter set us up with a donation capability on our website, and over the last 2 years, we've made about $30,000 through donations as well. So the takeaway for us in terms of, what do we, getting the money and what do we do with the money, the first thing is partnerships. When we partner with people, we have found that we enlarge our footprint and we enhance our credibility, and we bring new capabilities to the partnership, from the other partners. So that's key, and it's something that I'll circle back to here in a minute. The second thing is that there is money in this right now. CAL FIRE and Coastal Conservancy, and there's still a lot of folks that are providing grants that are available to us for going after fire prevention. And I'll just wrap up with this comment, which is that I think there's a huge opportunity here for the city and the Agoura Hills Fire Safe Council to do great things by working together. I think the community brigade from Malibu that needs funding, and the kind of grants that we can bring together can help to do that type of thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sheila Sherwin, followed by Jay Crutcher. And Sheila does have a handout I'm going to hand over to you.
Hi, my name is Sheila Sherwin, and I've been a resident of Agoura Hills for 38 years. And today I'm 74, retired, and my insurance has doubled in the last 2 years. And I've gotten involved. I'm on the board of my HOA, Chateau Creek, and I feel like we need the board to really round up Ventura. And a lot of you know I'm really good at rounding up volunteers, and I would be happy to help to reduce the risk and to do, to clear the vegetation around the parks. Around Forest Cove Park, they recently trimmed the trees better than they have in 30 years and limbed up, and they did all this great stuff, nudging from our one of our board members. But I just think we need the council to sort of lead everything. I know the 2024 Hazard Mitigation Plan, which serves to abate many hazards. However, if you look at page 7 through 18, there is a quote mandated by the LA County Fire Code that all property owners in the region are presently required to maintain a fire break around structures by removing all flammable vegetation a minimum distance of 20 feet. Well, most of our backyards are not 20 feet. So that doesn't work. So I think we need you to push. You guys know my phone number. I will definitely round people up. I heard the mayor of Malibu speak yesterday, and he was talking about since the Woolsey fire, they have gotten, I don't know what they did, it didn't go that far, but they have really gotten involved. And they only lost 7 houses. That's really not bad given the extent of the fire. So I'm happy to work with you. I love Agoura. I love the city council. And let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila.
Our next speaker is Jay. Is it Crutcher or Crutcher?
Crutcher.
Thank you.
Break your leg. Hopefully I won't. Madam Mayor, esteemed City Council members, city staff, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Jay Crutcher, and I've lived in Agoura for 12 years. Thank you for patiently listening to the previous speakers, understanding their perspectives, and hearing their need for your leadership. We need your active participation and support to mitigate the risk of wildfire in Agoura and to keep Agoura the wonderful community that it has been for so many years. About an hour ago, a red flag warning in our area expired. Please do not, even for a minute, see this as the end of our wildfire season. Instead, I urge you to see this as the beginning of our wildfire mitigation season. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year or the beginning of the next budget cycle, but tonight. Tonight should be the beginning of wildfire mitigation season. During 2024, the word fire appeared on 2 of the City Council agendas. Once to approve the July 20 consent calendar in agreement with Jensen Hughes to write a wildfire risk assessment, and a second time on September 25th to discuss Prop 4, authorizing bonds that would fund wildfire prevention efforts. Prop 4 passed with 59.8% of the vote statewide and 64.5% of the vote in Los Angeles County. It's easy to acknowledge wildfire as a problem, but then decide, it isn't my problem, it isn't our problem, it's somebody else's problem. And it's really easy to think you've done the right things to prepare. You have a go bag somewhere, and your insurance is paid up and will make you whole, hopefully. And your gardener seems to be doing a nice job keeping things pretty. Besides, your house fits in the neighborhood, everyone else has similar landscaping, so why should you be the one to change something first? The good news is that Agoura isn't the first. We weren't the first to celebrate July 4th with drones. We won't be the first to get rid of single-use plastic utensils. Other communities have started to make needed changes. They're engaging with experts, changing their status quo, decreasing their risk of catastrophic wildfire. We're not going to be the first to address wildfire mitigation, but I sincerely hope we won't be the last. There's a quote from Margaret Mead that springs to mind. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have no further speaker cards.
Thank you. I would like to thank you all for being here this evening and giving us your thoughts and opinions. And going forward, we will be working with staff on this issue. So thank you so much. All right. Let me see where I am now. Okay. Moving on now, we are going on to the consent calendar. Are there any questions for the City Council on the consent calendar? No questions. Thank you. I will now call for a motion and a second to adopt the consent calendar.
This is Deborah Klein Lopez. I'll move to adopt the consent calendar.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolf, I'll second.
Thank you. I will now defer to City Clerk for the roll call.
Councilmember Anderson?
Aye.
Councilmember Klein Lopez?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolf?
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester?
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you. Our next item is to conduct a public hearing to consider the adoption of a resolution approving resolution number 24-2089, approving Community Development Block Grant CDBG program and projects for the 51st program year. I will now open the public hearing and defer to Administrative Analyst John Treichler for the staff presentation.
Good evening, Mayor Sylvester and honorable council members. I'd like to start off tonight by saying congratulations, though, to Mayor Sylvester and Mayor Pro Tem Wolf on your new appointments, and welcome our newest council member, Kate Anderson. This evening's staff is presenting for consideration the city's use of allotted community development block grant funds for the upcoming 2025-2026 fiscal year. In addition, even though our city council members are familiar with what this grant does provide, I'll give a brief introduction to what the Community Development Block Grant is for those in attendance or watching remotely. Each year, the Community Development Block Grant, otherwise known as CDBG funds, are allocated to cities by the Federal Housing Urban Development Department, known as HUD, and administered through the Los Angeles County Development Authority, the LACDA. Funding for the Los Angeles Urban County CDBG program is administered by a number of participating cities, as well as a city's need to provide housing, economic and social services, community development opportunities that principally benefits seniors and persons of low to moderate incomes, along with certain projects that for compliance with the Americans with Disability Act. In previous years, City Council have approved such projects as the Forest Cove Rehabilitation Project and currently the Chumash Park ADA Path of Travel Project. This is in addition to the annual allotment for senior social service classes being offered through the Community Services Department. These classes include various services such as caregiver support, health care, assistance with finances, and they are all provided by the Senior Concerns through virtual meetings. The city's estimated annual CDBG allocated funds for the upcoming 2025-2026 program year is $76,395. This is per the LACDA correspondence that was provided in the staff report. The LACDA will release a final appropriations amount from HUD in the spring of 2025. On October 23, 2024, staff met with the Community Services Subcommittee to discuss the future goals and projects, and after much discussion, the subcommittee recommended the following. Authorization to reallocate any remaining funds from the current Chumash Park ADA Path of Travel project to the Morrison Park Rehabilitation Project. Continue the ongoing support of Senior Social Services Program at the cost of $10,000 and designate the remaining $66,395 towards enhancing the Playground and Path of Travel Rehabilitation Project at Morrison Park. Now, the Morrison Park scope consists of making improvements to the path of travel from the parking lot to the playground area, replacing existing benches with ADA compliant benches, and the removal of the existing wood fiber and playground equipment. As mentioned in the staff report, the playground surface will be replaced with a new pour and play rubberized surface, including the installation of new play structures, but these items will fall under a different funding source. At this time, an engineer's cost estimate has not been completed as staff is in the process of selecting an engineering firm for design. Once it has been completed, staff will come back to the City Council to award that design contract, including the request to seek bids for the construction project. At this time, there is no fiscal impact for the current fiscal year 2024-2025. Today's request is to appropriate CDBG funds for the upcoming fiscal year 2025-2026 and the fiscal year 2026-2027 biennial. Similar to last year, staff is requesting the City Council to approve an allotment of $10,000 towards the Senior Social Services Program and designate the remaining funds of $66,395 towards the Morrison Park Rehabilitation Project. In addition to that, to please also reallocate any remaining funds from our current Chumash Park ADA Path of Travel project to the Morrison Park project. Should the City Council approve resolution number 24-2089, the next step would be to get final approval from the LACDA. Following those required approvals, staff anticipates the bidding process to begin in the spring of the 2025 calendar year. Staff respectfully asks that you conduct a public hearing for consideration on approving the revised version on the dais of resolution number 24-2089, the Community Development Block Grant Programs and Projects for the 51st program year of the 2025-2026 fiscal year. This does conclude my report. Myself and Amy Brink, the Director of Community Services, are available to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you so much. Before we move on to public comment, does any council member have any questions of the staff presentation? Seeing none, we move on. This section is reserved for public comment. If you wish to speak, please submit a public comment card to the City Clerk. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. We respectfully request that if you have something to distribute to the City Council, you hand it to our City Clerk and do not approach the dais. The public hearing is open. I will defer to the City Clerk for public comments.
Thank you. We have not received any written correspondence or speaker cards.
Thank you. Before closing the public hearing, do any council members Have I missed
Oh,
something?
You've not missed anything. I'm sorry. I just wanted to bring it to the council's attention. I believe staff has presented council with a slightly revised resolution. There's just some tweaks in the language to make it consistent with the staff report given with tonight. And I believe that staff is recommending that the council adopt that newly revised resolution on the dais.
Thank you. So before closing the public hearing, do any council members have any further questions of staff? There being no further questions, I will now close the public hearing. We'll now move on to deliberations. I will start with Mayor Pro Tem Wolf.
Great, thank you so much. As always, I appreciate the committee's work on this. I think it's really, really exciting that we're chipping away at the Morrison Ranch project and really creative use of this funding, and I'm glad that some of it can also go towards important programs like our senior center. So we're getting a lot of use out of this federal program. I can make all the findings and ready to move forward to support staff recommendation.
Thank you. Councilmember Klein-Lopez.
Thank you. I always love when this item is on our agenda because it's grant money and it's going to such important programs, particularly seniors, lower income residents, and of course ADA compliance, which really ties into what the Morrison Playground is trying to do in making the playground accessible to all children. I know that there's multiple funding sources for the playground, so I appreciate that we're able to dedicate some of this funding towards that and help chip away at that, as our Mayor Pro Tem said, and I am in agreement with reallocating any remaining funds from the Chumash Park ADA Path of Travel. So I am ready to proceed, and thank you very much for the report and the hard work.
Thank you. Councilmember Anderson.
So I too am in support of this and delighted to do this. So my girls were born premature, 27 and a half weeks, and we had a physical therapist, actually an occupational therapist, and we used to travel to what is called Aiden's Park in Westwood, which was an accessible playground just like we're building in this community. So it's not just for folks with disabilities in the way that you may think of disabilities. It was a park that was really, really important for the occupational therapy for my kids. It's a great place. It's a tremendous asset to the community, and so I am delighted to be able to be supporting this on the council.
Thank you. I agree with my fellow council members. I think this is long overdue, having an all-accessible playground in our city. I was quite actively involved in the playground in Calabasas before with our special education PTA, and I'm thrilled that we can now say we will have one for our residents and our children. So I am 100% behind this project. So thank you very much. And again, I really do appreciate the senior support that we offer as well. So moving on, I will now call for a motion and a second to approve the staff recommendation, which I will read out.
Councilmember,
yes.
Councilmember Anderson moves that we approve resolution number 242089 as amended and distributed to us.
I'll second. This is Deborah Klein-Lopez.
Thank you. I'll defer to the city clerk for the roll call.
Councilmember Anderson?
Aye.
Councilmember Klein-Lopez?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolf?
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester?
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you. Moving on. Our next item is to conduct a public hearing to consider the adoption of a resolution approving resolution number 24-2090, adopting and amending the City of Agoura Hills fee schedule. I will now open the public hearing and defer to Director of Finance Ibanez for the staff presentation.
Thank you very much. Excuse me. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. This evening, City staff and Matrix Consulting Group will be presenting the results of an updated fee user study that the City of Agoura Hills currently underwent. And staff will recommend to the City Council to approve Resolution number 24-2090 to revise the city fee schedule with an effective date of July 1, 2025, and approve the November 2024 user fee study and cost allocation plan to establish the cost to deliver services as justification for the applicable fees changes proposed in the revised fee schedule. The agenda for this presentation is as follows. Staff will address why the city needed to update the fee schedule, Courtney Ramos from Matrix Consulting will discuss the fee study process. Staff from various city departments will be available for fee discussion. Staff will suggest the previously mentioned recommendation, and at the end, City Council will have the opportunity to ask questions. The last time the City of Agoura Hills updated the user fee study was in March of 2017. A lot has changed in the last 7 years, and city staff decided that with everything that had occurred, a pandemic, inflation, and rising costs, it was time to update the schedule. The comprehensive fee study includes an in-depth look at the actual cost of providing each service. When not updated, these costs do not accurately reflect the cost of each city department, and often the general fund ends up subsidizing for the overall cost. By the city updating its fees, city administrators are able to better plan financially and able to utilize resources effectively for department programming. An updated plan allows management to see where most time and resources are spent and could use some attention. Lastly, an updated plan allows for city compliance with state requirements for reasonable cost-based services. The process that the city underwent to get the fee study updated involved an issuance of an RFP on November 21st, 2023. Following the city's procurement process, the city awarded the contract to Matrix Consulting on February 14, 2024. Since that date, Matrix Consulting and staff have worked throughout the calendar year to review, research, and analyze city information related to staff time, current costs, and other inputs into developing the updated study. The first results were presented to the Finance Subcommittee on October 15, 2024, and the subcommittee asked for additional information and clarity on the results. Staff followed directions and worked with Matrix to obtain the analysis the subcommittee requested. Those results were presented to the Finance Subcommittee on November 20th, 2024. Tonight, staff is presenting the final results to the City Council and recommends an effective date of July 1st, 2025. In order to describe the fee study process, Courtney Ramos is here from Matrix Consulting Group to explain the process. Courtney?
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. My name is Courtney Ramos, and I'm here with Matrix Consulting Group, just to give you a little overview of the process that we went through to conduct this study and talk a little bit about the results of that. So when we start a user fee study process, we start by looking at the fee structure. So not necessarily the amounts that we're charging, but what are the services that we're calling out? What are the services that we're providing? And how are we charging for those services? And so working with staff to consolidate and expand those fees so that they accurately reflect how the services are being provided and the services that are being provided. We then look at how much time it takes to provide those services. We want to look at average time estimates, so we don't want to think about the simplest application that we have to process, nor do we want to think about the most complex. We want to look at, on average, how much time should it take to plan review or inspect a particular application or permit. We then look at determining fully burdened hourly rates, which include both indirect cost as well as direct costs. So the salary and benefits of the staff who are actually touching that permit or that process, as well as the staff who are supporting them, services and supplies, vehicles, fuel, and so forth. We also took a look at conducting a comparative survey so that we can understand where current fees or the city's full cost sit within the surrounding communities. But we also wanted to take a look at and provide context for that comparative survey regarding when the last time those jurisdictions updated their fees or conducted an outside survey so that you have a bit more understanding of how to utilize that comparative information. And then finally, and most importantly, with the study, we want to ensure compliance with Prop 218 and 26. And that basically says that we can't charge more for a service than it costs us to provide that service. And so what this study does is it lets us know essentially what is our ceiling? What is the full cost of providing that service? And how does that compare with our current fees? So it's a user fee study. It's not necessarily rocket science. Like I said, it's basically staff time times the fully burdened rate gives us that full cost. So it tells us again, what is that ceiling that we can charge for those services? So if we look high level at the results of this analysis, overall, currently, the city is generating about $1.3 million in revenue associated with services for business licensing, building and safety, planning, public works, and community services. When we look at the full cost associated with those services, it's about $2.1 million. So the difference there is about $831,000, or a cost recovery of 61%. So obviously there's room to increase the fees to recover a greater level of cost associated with these services. When we look at some of these, overall, $830,000, not the biggest delta I've ever seen. But there are some areas where we can increase fees if that's what we're looking to do, if we want to generate additional revenue to offset the cost of our services. If we look at something like building and safety, not a large number, $150,000, but it is at 75% cost recovery, and typically for services like that, we see anywhere between 80 and 100% cost recovery. Similarly, for public works and engineering, again, small amount there, and about $52,000, but that 59% cost recovery is actually a lot lower than what we see, again, about 80 to 100% cost recovery. The biggest difference that we do see at community services, the largest one there at about 310%. Usually, we don't see high cost recovery there, so that's usually between 20 and 50%. So the city's doing really good at that 57%. And obviously, when we look at community services, we're going to subsidize those, the soccer programs and the field rentals and things like that, as opposed to the subsidization associated with, putting a pool in your backyard and so forth. And so a little more detail in the weeds on some of the things that we did. We reviewed 554 fee line items. Of those, 40 of them were state set or pass-throughs or penalties. So those remain the same. They're not time-based. There were 30 fees that would have no change in their fees. There were 320 that showed that they could increase based on the analysis. So there was an opportunity to increase those fees. There were 55 fees where we calculated the cost to be actually lower than what was being charged. So those fees will have to be reduced in order to comply. When we looked at building valuation, we talked about streamlining those fee structures. We expanded that to include higher valuations as we are, costs are going up. So having a higher end to that valuation range. With planning fees, there was a huge delta between current fees and the full cost, as shown by their subsidy. And then community services fees were not only looked at from the perspective of kind of the cost for that unit or that program, but also in context of the market and what it is in the surrounding areas that those services are going for, right? We can utilize those services here, or we can go to the next town over and utilize services there. So with that, I'll turn it back over.
Thank you, Courtney. Staff's recommended that City Council hear public comment and adopt resolution number 24-2090 to amend the fee study. Staff did notice a public hearing for tonight's meeting on November 29th and December 6th as required. Lastly, staff requested, if approved, the effective date will be on July 1st, 2025 to coincide with the new biannual budget year, and request that the resolution include an annual COLA escalator to today's current with operational costs. This concludes staff's presentation. Is available for questions.
Thank you. Before we move on to public comment, does any council member have any questions of the staff on the presentation? Seeing none, this section is reserved for public comment. If you wish to speak, please submit a public comment card to the city clerk. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. We respectfully request that if you have something to distribute to the City Council, you hand it to our City Clerk and do not approach the dais. The public hearing is now open. I'm going to bang it. I will now defer to the City Clerk for public comments.
Thank you. We have not received any written correspondence nor speaker cards.
Thank you. Before closing the public hearing, do any council members have any further questions of staff? No. There being no further questions, I will now close the public hearing. We'll now move on to deliberations, and I would like to start with Councilmember Klein-Lopez, since we sat on the subcommittee together.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I would just like my fellow council members to know that our finance subcommittee worked very closely, not only with Mr. Ibanez, but with the heads of all of our departments in going over the fees in great detail. It took a couple meetings to really try to hone in on what our role was in this, and also ensuring that we felt comfortable with the very different types of fees that we charge. So we had a meeting, and then we came back and had a second meeting with the department heads. It was actually a really fun meeting, and to be in the room with all the department heads and the experts, and they really helped us understand the different types of fees and services. The things that were important to myself and to our mayor, and I'm sure she will comment as well, is we wanted to make sure we understood the community service piece of it. So, as Courtney said, a pool in someone's backyard for one family is very different than, services in parks and some of the things that really benefit the community at large. So that obviously was a consideration for some subsidizing. It was very, very important to us that we encourage things that align with our CAP, with our climate action and adaptation plan. So we don't want to discourage people from putting up solar panels. We don't want to discourage people from putting in EV chargers or battery backups. So we were very, very cognizant that if it had a connection to our climate action and adaptation plan, that we were encouraging people to go through with it and not discouraging them with high fees. And for me personally, I wanted to make sure that any recurring fees, short-term rental, licensing, things like that, didn't skyrocket, and that if they were going up, that it would be gradual. And so we worked to make sure that there was no fee that would all of a sudden shock somebody that they weren't prepared for. So we really did go through, department by department and discuss these fees. And it was actually a really wonderful exercise. It helped us a lot. And to really hear from the people in the department who are the experts in those fees and what would work and what wouldn't work, I feel very comfortable that what you saw in your report it's good data. And finally, it was really important for us to keep up with the costs. We don't want to fall behind like we had been since 2017. So we talked a lot about, making sure that the COLA adjusts not only salaries like we do every year, but also fees like this so that we don't fall behind. And as Courtney said, it's not a huge amount of money that we're talking about, but it can be if we don't keep on top of it. So I really appreciate the time that not only our finance department, but our every department put into this, and I feel comfortable with the fees, and I'm ready to proceed. So thank you.
Thank you, and I will actually jump in next since I sat on the committee with you. I know it may be a bit overwhelming looking at this report because there's a lot of data there, and it took us a little while to go through it, but we did, and so I hope you will rely on us for doing that on your behalf. I think what surprised us most is that how little the fees have been raised over the last several years, and that is to the disadvantage of the city when it's for things that individual homeowners are doing. And I agree with Councilman Klein-Lopez that we are protecting the community services, and Amy and her staff were very good about that, telling us, where we could increase if it's for a private rental as opposed to the Girl Scouts or a school function. So we took all that into consideration, and then we chose the COLA as the best scale to increase each year because it does include the salaries, which is our biggest expense every year. So I am completely happy with what we came up with, and I can make all the findings on it. And I will refer to Councilmember Anderson.
So I too can make all the findings, and I think that this is fabulous. Thank you so much. That was so incredibly thorough. I really loved the comparisons to other cities and the percentages and what we're doing. And Penny, thank you. I hadn't thought about it as protecting community services. That just says so much about who we are as a city. It has been far too long, clearly, since we have raised our fees. And Councilmember Klein-Lopez and Mayor Sylvester, thank you for the number of hours that you spent, because I read through the report and I looked at these fees and I knew that you guys had dug in detail. So I had a great deal of confidence in being able to support this, knowing the work that you had put in. So thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Excuse me. Echoing what Councilmember Anderson said about thanking the committee. This is a really big deal and a tremendous amount of work, committee and staff. And so I know you guys went through this with a really careful eye. And our city is not in the business of by state law, we're not making money, but we need to recover costs. And Councilmember Klein Lopez, I appreciate that we want to incentivize for some of these environmental components like solar and some of the charging and EV stuff. So I like that that was taken into consideration. I appreciate that the COLA will keep us current so we won't fall too far behind. I also don't think there'll be shell shock for a lot of residents when they see that there's a change or might not even notice. One component I was interested in was the filming. It looked like went up a little bit. But other than that, I think this was really, really well done. I can make all the findings, and I appreciate the work that went in on this. So thank you.
Thank you so much. So I will now call for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to adopt resolution number 24-2089.
So moved. This is Deborah Klein Lopez.
Councilmember Anderson will second.
Thank you. I will defer to City Clerk for the roll call.
Councilmember Anderson?
Aye.
Councilmember Klein Lopez?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolf?
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester?
Aye.
Mayor Sylvester, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you very much. We now move on to discussion.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, I missed you.
And maybe staff can make this clarification. So the staff recommendation says Reso number 24-2089, but the agenda packet refers to it as 24-2090.
Oh, right.
So maybe right now you took action on 2089, and if it's supposed to be 2090, then I think we need to correct that for the record.
I appreciate that. There was a typo down here. So adopt resolution number 24-2090.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank
you,
you for
Council.
catching that. All right. Our next item is a communications update, and I will defer to Communications Manager Mary Haddad for the presentation.
All right, there it is. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. Congratulations to everybody. Looking forward to working with all of you. We're ending the night on a really exciting note. We have a lot of great things happening in our communications team. So I'm going to go ahead and get started by saying that 2025 is going to be a great year for us. We have some exciting projects coming down the pipeline. And the one that we're going to be focusing on tonight is our website redesign project. And we're excited to bring to you today some of our designs for your feedback and for us to move into the next phase of the project. So just to reiterate some of the goals with the website redesign project and to provide some background for our new council member, earlier this year we launched a comprehensive RFP process beginning in summer. And that concluded after we thoroughly reviewed, I believe it was about 23 RFPs, so a lot of work went into that, and we ultimately brought an agreement to the City Council with revised government websites, and we've hit the ground running with them. They've been wonderful to work with, and we're excited that this is actually hitting one of our City Council goals, and it's going to bring a really great user-friendly website to our community next year. Also, one of our goals is to be in compliance with the .gov legislation. So as part of this website redesign, we will be changing our URL to a .gov domain. So it'll be putting us into compliance with that. So we're very excited, and we'll go into some of the phases of what the website redesign project will look like. So we began with an initial meeting with Revise, where we were able to take a look at our current website, identify some of the opportunities for improvement there. And we're currently now in the design phase, which is a really great creative opportunity to go back and forth, look at a couple of designs of our homepage, what we want some of our internal pages to look like, and then other important elements like emergency notifications and other things we've talked about improving as we come to expand a lot of our communications efforts. So the next phase would be after we conclude the design phase with all of your blessing tonight, we'll be moving into the site mapping phase, which will require us to strategically go through all of our website pages and restructure them in a way that allows our community to access the information they're looking for when they're looking for it. And our goal, our motto for this website is 1 to 2 clicks, 2 clicks max, and to get people where they want to get very quickly. And following that, we'll be working with Revise on migrating our current content that we want to be into the new website, into the new one. And then quality assurance is going to include a beta launch internally to staff. We can also share that beta launch with our city council, so we can all go in, play with the website as staff is being trained. And then we're looking to launch in summer 2025. So coming up really soon, and we're excited to be making some progress on this. So as mentioned, we're in the design phase, and today we're looking for your feedback on a couple of design elements that we've received from our vendors. I'm excited to share that we've actually had a really great conversation with our communications subcommittee. I want to say about a month ago now. It was day of One City, One Book. It was a kind of a busy day. But we had a really great conversation about the design. We brought them the initial design that the vendor submitted to us, and our subcommittee had amazing feedback on that, and the design that we're presenting to you today reflects a lot of that feedback. So let's just dive right into it, and I'll go through each of these 3 design elements, and maybe feel free to interrupt me as I'm going through them, or we can discuss them all at the end. So let's go to our design portal here. Go to home. And voila, there she is. So here's our home page. And when we initially brought this to the communications subcommittee, there was a lot of changes that's been made. We discussed the nitty-gritty from what we want the logo to look like, where we want the search bar, how we want our motto to be prominent. And then I do want to note that all of these buttons and different elements, the wording on here will be changed as we finalize our sitemap. And then we'll go into a little bit about what the website survey is going to be kind of helping us with, and it's determining what the community wants these buttons to be, the most visited pages. So we'll get into that shortly. I also want to note that this is a still image so far. This is going to be a lot more interactive when we receive the beta version of the website. And this background image here is actually going to be a compilation of some beautiful drone footage of our city, and our subcommittee had some great feedback on what we want that to look like too. So it's going to look a lot more interactive once we get closer to finalizing the website. So here it is, a big, beautiful image of Ladyface for now until we get our drone footage. Here we have a city highlights tab of kind of the big happenings, so folks can easily navigate that. We have stacked buttons here of just placeholders of what are going to be our most visited pages. And the beauty of this new website vendor is that this is going to be a very intuitive website. So as people start going through our pages, going through the website on the back end is smart enough to capture the most visited pages and will automatically populate the buttons on here that are the most visited. So it's always going to be up to date. One of them being, of course, our meeting agendas that we want people to get to right away. Business resources, service requests is a big one. Emergency alerts, of course, and a couple of more buttons here. So this is a part that I'm really excited about. I think that with our current website, there's a lot of opportunity to improve our calendars. We hear a lot about or get a lot of phone calls on when is this event happening? I can't find it. I want to look for specifically a city council meeting or specifically events. So this calendar right here on the left is a custom filtered calendar where our residents or any visitors to the website can toggle through and really find the events that they're most interested in, whether that's a community services event or just city council meetings. And it's a monthly view, so they can plan ahead and then see how many things we have going on in that month. If that's not somebody's thing, there's also a list view over here on the right side. You'll notice all of this is written in Latin right now, so we'll be obviously populating that with events once we launch the website. And then there's an option to fully open this into a full screen if people want to have a more focused look on the calendar. So moving down here, another important part of a city website is making sure that news is upfront and prominent. Here on the left side, it was just going to be a list view of all of our recent news with an option to look at a news archive or scroll through different news. And then here on the right, you might be wondering what a curator.io is. And I know we're really big on our social media here on the city, so here's an opportunity for us to embed our social media feed directly onto the homepage of the website. So as we're posting things, people can see them right here, whether they prefer to see it on Facebook, Instagram, or now X, previously known as Twitter. And then as they click through it, it'll open up the image and show them the post with the caption. So they don't necessarily need to follow us on social media. They can just stay updated right here on the website. So we're very excited for that new feature as well. And then here at the bottom, just to kind of finish off, is just reiterating how the community can continue staying connected with us. Having that emergency notification button on there, again, just reminding folks how important that is, whether they want to stay connected on a city newsletter, social media, our podcast, or a city directory. It's just a reminder for everybody to stay connected. And then we have some of these hill elements throughout the website that we really enjoyed the designer including. So that's our homepage, and I'll go ahead and stop there before moving on to the next one. But is there any thoughts on this? We're really happy that they reflected the feedback of the subcommittee, but we're open to any other feedback the City Council has before we approve this design.
I just think it looks great, and it was such a joy to turn and see Penny's just glowing. Penny from the Communications Subcommittee.
Yes. But this is Debbie's baby, so do you have anything you want to say at this point?
Well, I will say that, this is very important to me because not only, I think that having an intuitive, accessible website is one of the most important constituent services that we can and should offer our residents. And so this is a long time coming. And I will say that even though we had done a redesign right before I think I was elected, and it looked great, it was not functional. We couldn't change anything. When we had the Woolsey fire, we couldn't put a big box up saying, click here for more information. We couldn't move the buttons around. Don't get me started on the search function. And, the staff is going to put their hands over their ears when I mention the calendar one more time. So I'm really happy to have Mary at the helm because she's got a lot of experience in this. As I was looking through other cities' websites, one of the ones I saw was South Pasadena. I thought they had such a great website. Of course, that's where Mary came from. So I think we're in good hands. But for me, the big thing is it has to be inviting. It has to be easy. And we have to be able to adapt it as things come, whether it's an emergency, whether we want to highlight social media, whether it's an event, and we have to make that search function. So the technology today is so much better than it was when I was elected just 6 years ago. And so the fact that we are taking advantage of that and improving is very important to me. So yes, very excited that we're doing this. I don't know if you have more.
Mayor Pro Tem, do you have anything?
Yeah, I don't see right off the bat is a contact. Am I missing that? To contact city council or contact staff? I saw on the report. I really like the layout of how it's a contact information where it has the number, the email. But am I missing that? Is that?
Well, what we do have, and you can't really read it, is right up at the top. One of the tabs is "How do I?" And you see right there. And I think all you have to put in there is, what you want to do, and it will pop up.
Well, I don't think.
Or will it be under departments? Mary, do you want to?
Yeah, so the information is kind of findable, for lack of a better term, however people want to look for it, but we will be including City Council, all of the biographies, contact information under the government tab. I'm actually going through what we want these top tabs to look like. I really like websites that say your government. It just adds a lot of more ownership over the website. The residents feel like it's the website that's serving them. So we're working on the verbiage of that, but there's multiple ways where folks can find specific things, including city council members and their information. Mayor Pro Tem, I think the page you might be looking at is in the internal department page. And I think we'll go over that on in attachment 3. But this is going to be something that's included under the government tab. Individuals will be able to find it on the search bar. That's going to be a lot more intuitive than the one we currently have. So as they're typing city council, the search bar is going to start automatically populating different pages that relate to those words. So whether it's city council agendas, city council members, those things are going to populate and they can get to that right away. We could also, just to bring it to the forefront of the website, include that as one of the buttons here. So if that's a page that we want to be accessible right away in one click, that can definitely be one of the buttons here. These aren't set in stone. And then also here, when we reiterate for folks to stay connected with us, we're going to have a city directory here, which will include our city council information as well as staff.
Okay, so maybe that's city directory, but if someone wants to get a hold of Nate and complain about something, they would just search like city manager and then his information would come up?
Right, yeah. So if once they
Yeah.
So under departments, once somebody hovers over this, when this is actually working in Intuitive, it'll open up all of our departments, and city manager will be one of them, or any department, and they can click on it, and it's going to include the contact information for that department. And it's going to be a set in stone template across every department, and we'll go over that shortly.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. I love the colors and I love the scheme, and like the layout looks really, really cool. One question, I don't know if this is the right form, but you had touched on the .gov. I know that's going to be state law. Is it still going to be at agorahillscity.gov, or is there any way we can just do at agorahills.gov?
So we, before I started with the city, this item was taken to the communications subcommittee, and at the time it was approved to call it agorahillscity.gov because now it's called agorahillscity.org, just to give people the opportunity to easily remember since that's the website they're used to. So that was the direction that staff received from the subcommittee at that time.
Okay, yeah, I now remember that. Okay, thank you. That for right now, that's it. But it looks fantastic. Great work.
Thank you. And I want to note too that you might be wondering what this little guy in the corner is. And that's going to be an accessibility button. So when people are visiting the website, whether they have a certain visual impairment or if they want to just increase the font on the website, it's a very customizable ADA button where they're able to shift things around and view the website how it's comfortable for them. Also here, you might have noticed this translate button. So it's really cool. I am excited to show you when that goes live, but that'll be able to translate the website into any language that visitors prefer. So automatically when they click it, it'll translate everything into that language. So just wanted to note that. All right, so that's the home page, which is, as Ramiro calls it, it's kind of the first thing when you step into someone's house, you see the living room. The home page is really important, so we're glad to kick it off with that. Another really important page that we wanted to show you all today is what an emergency pop-up is going to look like. And this is super relevant considering what's going on right now in Malibu. We have a banner on our own website, just letting the community know that we're aware, and then we have different links in there. However, we don't think that's enough. It's just the top of the banner. It's very easy for somebody to miss it. I don't think it's as ADA compliant as something like this would be, but this is what an emergency pop-up is going to look like when somebody visits our website. You can see the homepage kind of blurred in the back. Right when somebody visits, it's going to pop up big and red. Bless you, Mayor Pro Tem. Pop up nice big and red and have all of the information that they need to know on here. And then it gives them the opportunity to read more if staff puts out a press release or will put out a press release, and then has direct links to our social media so they can continue staying updated with us. And they won't be able to get out of this. It's going to be there until they press this X button, and then it takes them back to the website. So this is another really important part of the design that we wanted to receive your blessing on, and see if this is kind of what the City Council imagines as an ideal emergency notification, as something that pops up this large.
So who would be, so you would be in control if there was like an earthquake that happened, it would populate the website, and then for like a 72-hour period, it would stay on, or, and then would you have to go in and remove it?
Yes, we can also schedule it to come down. So if it's something that's something like an earthquake that's a short period of time, we can just go in and take it out, leave it on maybe for aftershocks and notice for that, or leave it on for as long as we want if it's a long scale emergency. So it's kind of up to staff, but I would be responsible for that, yes.
And then this function would just be for natural disasters or things like PSPS, or like who's going to make the call on what gets populated on it? Is that?
Yeah, it would be for emergencies.
Okay.
Yeah, like a PSPS, natural disaster, things like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
And we have a, I think in a prior council, we had the communications plan presented to us where depending on what the issue was and what the severity was, what our different types of communications would be. So we don't always send out an email, but sometimes if it's, you know, like an evacuation, we're sending it out everywhere or something like that. So this pop-up will be a part of that overall communications plan so that it's consistent with, you know, when it comes up, because what we don't want to do is have people get used to seeing it like we have right now on ours, where, you know, they just click out of it right away because they're just so used to seeing it. So it will be for emergencies.
And Nate will be the head honcho. So we are in good hands.
Great. All right, so the last part of this is the internal page that the Mayor Pro Tem was referring to. So our departments right now on our current website, there's a little bit of a design inconsistency issue. What this is going to be is a template where all of our department pages look and feel the same. So they'll have the opportunity, big and bold, to put their department name, a custom photo, whether if that's of their team or you know, the event center for community services might be a great example. Some buttons that are relevant to their department so people can get to important information, 1 click, 1 to 2 clicks. Information here, another photo, and then embed department events here if that's applicable to that department. And then here on the left is that contact box. I know across some of our department pages, sometimes there isn't contact information, there isn't photos. It looks different across. So this is going to create a consistent template across all of our departments that we're really excited for. So this is kind of the last attachment that I wanted to provide to you all today, and then take any of your feedback on this. But we think it gives it a lot of a better visual and consistent feel. So any feedback on this one, greatly appreciated.
Go ahead.
Will all staff's emails be provided and council for the departments, or is that up to each individual department to decide?
I think it would be up to each, and I don't think we've gone into the weeds of that quite yet, but it's a great question. I know at the least here, it would be the department director.
Okay.
And then their contact information, whether that be their general phone number, general email, or their own email. So we can go that route, but the website will also include that staff city directory where it would include all of the emails and phone numbers for specific things like permits or communications, things like that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just find that so fantastic and like so user-friendly. When you're looking for someone, you can find their email, and it's not just like an info at, and I think residents would appreciate that. So thank you. It looks so good.
Awesome. Glad you like it.
And are we going to have photos of all our staff members? Because I think it really helps, you know, when you're reaching out to someone, you can see indirectly who it is that you're engaging with. So if we could, and I know that, like in the school directories, they always show all the staff, so you can identify them. I think it just makes it more personal.
Definitely. And I think we have some ideas bouncing around. I know a lot of our staff might not be interested in taking a photo, but we do have some ideas on, some of our department pages have videos of our department directors that introduce them to themselves and to the department. We're actually thinking about creating new videos that include as many staff that want to be in the video and walking them through what that department covers rather than just having a video of the director. So we're kind of exploring what we want that to look like.
Well, I'm very excited.
And if I can add, you know, the beauty and the curse of trying to put together a city website is that there's just so much information that we have to put on there that it can be overwhelming. And so I love this department page because it's so customizable, because obviously what Kimberly does in the city clerk's office is different than what Lucas does, is different than what Amy does. You know, every department has such specific needs, and so the beauty of this design is that it's customizable. And even to your point, Mayor Pro Tem, you know, if you feel that there needs to be a more prominent contact information, just our general number on the homepage, we can do that. Like, that's a tweak. We will be able to tweak these things as we roll this out to improve it as it goes along. And that's something we could not do with our old website, our current website, just due to the technical and contractual constraints.
Councilmember, no, you're fine.
I think it looks fantastic. Debbie, Councilmember Klein-Lopez, thank you for all the work, and Mary, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, if there's no further questions, I would just like to thank Mary for all the hard work she's put into this. I'm very excited that I can launch it while I'm mayor. Make us look really good. So if I don't believe you need any, do you need any further feedback from us at this point?
I have a couple of more slides, Mayor, if that's
okay. Sorry. Oh.
Just a couple of reminders. I'll make it quick. So as part of this effort, community feedback is really important to us. We've had a community survey out since November 14th, so about a month now. We've received about 60 responses. We have put out this survey on our website, on signs in front of our city facilities, on Nextdoor. So we've put it out everywhere, but we want to generate a little bit more feedback. So looking at the results so far, and this is kind of a theme tonight, but we're kind of missing a gap on feedback from some of our teens or our youth population, and we think because they have such an eye for technology, we really want to make an intentional effort to bring them into this survey. So we're extending the deadline until it was going to close on December 6th, but we are extending the deadline until December 20th. So for those listening still, this is our kind of formal way of announcing it, but we'll also do more social media outreach on that just to encourage some more feedback. And as I mentioned, the survey is going to be a key tool for us to really determine any other elements of the website that our residents want to see. So I just wanted to announce that really quick, that we're extending it. And also, just another really exciting announcement, because it's a communications update, and 2025 is looking like a really great year for us. We've received a lot of love and success with our Good Life podcast, and a lot of awards, which is great. And we are, as we all know, communications is kind of a growing and fluid kind of tool, and we want to continue that momentum and keep that theme of engaging our youth population. We have a lot of amazing leaders in the community, and we are looking to launch, this also went to our communication subcommittee, but we're looking to launch kind of a remix podcast called Next Gen Agoura Hills in 2025, early 2025. We're already working really closely with our school district. We met with Dr. Stepanowski, principal of Agoura High, Garrett Lepisto on this, and we've received their support, which is very exciting. So in January of next year, stay tuned for our first episode. And we're really excited to work with our youth, our leaders, to really highlight their stories and what's important to them, and bring that to the entire community. So stay tuned, just another exciting announcement. And if there's any questions on that, I'm happy to answer it. But that concludes my presentation for this evening. And I want to thank you all for your support on communications. thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary. I'd like to ask you, who are you communicating with at the middle and high schools?
So we are going to be emailing all of the principals tomorrow morning. We actually have an email ready to go, letting them know that we brought it to City Council. We have all of them in an email chain, letting them know what this podcast is going to look like, and have them contact us if they have an interest. We're working with our city attorney on a waiver form for our students right now. So hopefully they'll get back to us, they'll express interest, and their students will be just as excited as we are.
Right. And then going back to the website, again, who are we going to, because we're extending the window for the survey.
Yes.
How are we reaching out to their students? Are we talking to, like at the high school, the computer science teacher?
Yes, so Garrett from Agoura High is including it in his next parent and school newsletters. Our other principals, we're going to be asking them to do the same.
Good.
We're also working closely with our community services department so they can send a survey to their teen volunteers, and they're including it in their newsletters as well that go out every week.
That'd be wonderful. And if we could make sure that we include the ASB at Agoura High School.
Oh, perfect.
Their leadership. And also at the middle school, they have a student council as well.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Any other input?
Yeah, I want to, of course, thank the staff. Mary did an awesome job, but also Councilmember Klein Lopez, you've been beating this drum for so long, and it's like not the most exciting thing, but it's so important. So thank you for like continuously pushing for this, and it's nice to see it happening. So great work all around.
The day has come. We're doing it.
Okay, so moving on to council and staff comments. Are there any comments from the staff? Amy, do you want to make any comments about Holidays on the Hill?
I would love it. Good evening, Mayor Sylvester. I would love it if I know several of you attended Friday and Saturday. We had a great weekend, so I'm going to let you maybe throw in a couple of comments. This was probably one of our best events we've had in a long time. It was packed both evening and daytime. I want to give a personal thank you to Malibu Brewing Company, who came out and poured beer and wine and served great food. We had amazing vendors. Our Cultural Arts Council worked their tails off, and we had a beautiful mayor show to kind of close out the year. So it was a great evening. All parking lots were filled Friday night, and even all day Saturday, Santa was out there taking pictures. I do want to remind the public that we are still doing our Letters to Santa campaign. So if you personally or your children would like to write a letter to Santa, fill it out, drop it into the mailbox up in front of the rec center, and I think Santa will respond. So thank you, and thank you for your support coming out over the weekend.
Thank you. Any city council members have anything to announce?
I also just want to say that the Holidays on the Hill was so beautiful. Not only were the vendors amazing, but the food, I think, it takes us to a different level. Malibu Brewing was amazing, and happy to be there, and I really believe that it did elevate us. And the center itself is just so beautiful. So just want to say happy holidays to everyone.
I will echo that. Holidays on the Hill was fantastic, and the music was amazing. So, when Uda's idea about more intimate community events, I think that epitomized it. So I super love that. And I just wanted to say thank you to this council for the warm welcome and coming on board, and then thank you to the staff. Nate and his team put together a phenomenal 2-day orientation where it was every department coming in, our city attorney coming in. I feel just so incredibly prepared, and I'm really grateful for the time and attention and guidance in coming in. Thank you.
Echo everything everyone said, but thank you, Kimberly, for pulling off this reorg. I know it's a lot of logistics and a lot of moving parts, so you did really great. So thank you.
Okay, and finally, again, I echo what all my fellow council members said. I spent a lot more money than I had planned up at the Hill, but that's all good. And especially Kimberly for tonight. Thank you. It was a beautiful evening. I would like to wish you all very happy holidays. I hope you get special time with your families to enjoy. And I'm look forward to next year. 2025. I mean, Elise last year said, will soar in 24. So now we have to say, in 2025, we will thrive. All right. So the regular City Council meeting for December the 25th, 2024 has been cancelled. The next regular City Council meeting will be held at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, January the 8th, 2025, in the Council Chambers of the Civic Centre. This meeting is now at, I'm sorry, my mistake. Before we adjourn, I know Councilmember Wolf has something.
Yes, thank you. I would have, it's been a long night. So tonight, I'm looking to adjourn the memory in a dear friend and community hero, Kim Lamore, who we lost last week. I have the whole bio here, but I'm not going to read it. But Kim Lamore was a tremendous champion for the Santa Monica Mountains. She was so smart and strategic and a force of nature. She was the voice and conscience of the Santa Monica Mountains and was a force to be reckoned with. She helped and shaped the environmental legacy. Without her, this region would look tremendously different regarding development, oak tree ordinances, the North Area Plan, how we deal with grading. A lot of our, it's hard to put into words the impact that one person had, and losing her is such a tremendous loss. So it's upon us to continue that legacy, to work to protect, defend, and support the Santa Monica Mountains. And so Kim will be missed. She was a good friend to me. She was a mentor, and I am really terribly sad that we've lost her. There's going to be a memorial service on January 12th. I believe at Malibu Lake Mountain Club. I think it's at 11:30, and I just will miss her so much, and I'm just so sad by this loss. Councilmember Lopez, is there anything you want to add?
You said it lovely. I will echo that. Kim was a force to be reckoned with in a way that was it was unbelievable, actually. I mean, she was such a strong woman, and she made a couple of enemies along the way in protecting the mountains, and she wasn't afraid of it. I mean, especially for women, that's a very common thing where you get judged on the forcefulness of your beliefs, and she didn't care. She just said, you can disagree with me, but there was no doubt that the conservation of the Santa Monica Mountains was her #1 priority. I'm very happy I was never on her bad side. I was never on her bad side. And you didn't want to be, because she was fierce. They say there's a term when you're a parent, mama bear. She was the mama bear of the Santa Monica Mountains, and you didn't mess with her. So from the Las Virgenes Homeowners Federation to the political activism that she initiated. I mean, she was involved in supervisor races in unincorporated Los Angeles County, making sure that any incoming electeds understood the needs of the mountain areas, and she didn't stop, I think, until the day we lost her. So she will be missed so much, and I just want to send my deepest condolences to her family and to the community for the loss.
Thank you so much. So I will now adjourn this meeting in the memory of Kim Lamore. Thank you.